Hey, what's up, Polar Fam? This is Shidbear here, joined by the great Yulian in our weekly community AMA here in our Discord at 8 p.m. UTC on this beautiful September 14th, 2022, or sometime in the morning if you are over in the Australia, New Zealand region. So thank you all for joining us again here today. This is our AMA. This is our reach out to you guys to give you guys an outlet to the team. Also, of course, to go over any information that has gone on recently, what's currently happening, and anything that is to come. So please, if you guys do have any questions along the way, simply request to speak in this AMA and we'll bring you up live. Or you can also type in the AMA Questions Weekly channel that I did tag in that community announcement, and we will answer your questions live on air as well. So we have a little bit of information going out as far as this past couple of days here. If you guys did not see, I did put a little bit of a convergence of the info on the latest announcement. So if you've not checked that out, certainly go give that a read there. Basically, it's just trying to go over things that we already mostly know, right? So we're working on this mini game. I know people kind of like seeing that. Some people are skeptical. It is what it is. It's going to get out there, and it should be something at least different and interesting for us to implement into the protocol. We also have the movement over to the Binance Smart Chain sooner rather than later. I do want to stress, I know Enor was in the chat and said the contracts will be done on the 19th or the 20th. Bear in mind, that's the contracts being done. We still have to then go through a test phase and stuff like that. He's hoping just a few days after that is when we'll be able to go live, but we are not bringing the update on the 19th or the 20th. I know there was some confusion in the chats there. I just want to clarify that before we get too far, but we're very close. Once those are done, we put into a test net. We let everybody test it. I think Enor's even talked about trying to let the community do a test net like we did with version 3.0, and that would be a great way to identify some bugs and maybe some different things that are not quite running super smoothly so that we can avoid the issues that we did occur and we try to put out 3.5. So some of those things are what's to come. Hopefully we get a community beta. Those are always fun to go through for everyone as well. Lots of good things on that. So we are moving to BSC. I will put out a guide in order to add BSC to your MetaMask wallet in due time. Once we get a little bit closer to that, I'll throw that out as well. It's very, very simple. Just a couple of lines, just like you would add AVAX. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you could also just Google MetaMask, add Binance Smart Chain, and it'll bring you up a step-by-step guide pretty easily there. We have also the updates to the DApp that are very, very far along, and they'll all go live with the next update as well. So that'll be another decent look and another decent view to the progression on it. That's going to be a movement over to BSC. Another big question that I've seen pop up many a times is, what is our token? What is the token going to do on once we go over to BSC? Is there going to be a new token? How's it going to work? All that good stuff there, right? So I'm going to, again, at the very beginning of this AMA, I'm doing this here at this moment for a reason. The token itself, the current Polar token that you are accumulating with your current active nodes, are going to stay on AVAX. The liquidity pair and the liquidity pool is going to stay alive over on Avalanche, but there will be no utility supporting that token. That is why Enor has suggested creating nodes, because the nodes will follow us over if you decide to migrate them to the BSC network. And now, if you don't want to migrate, then you can do whatever you want with your tokens, but I do want to make it very clear that your current Polar tokens are not going to be supported on Avalanche once we move away from Avalanche. The liquidity pair will still be here, so you will be able to sell up to a certain extent, unless everyone drains it, of course, and then it just won't sell because it won't have enough price slippage mechanics built in, so it might not work from there. But that being said, that's not the end of the world. That kind of gives us an opportunity for a little bit of a fresh start. I was just chatting with Enor this morning about some potential different tokenomics to work with for the new token to allow maybe a little bit more sustainable mechanic for us, and it could allow us to introduce something like a buy and a sales tax. It won't be very significant. Ideally, it'll be 5% or less buy tax, 5% or less sales tax, and then probably a claims tax associated with the actual nodes. But that just simple buy and sales tax we currently cannot do without relaunching a new contract anyway. So at least if we build that into the next contract, we can have the options added or not. I know there's going to be differentiating opinions of that, but then we can also reduce the claims tax a little bit. So it's a little bit, more of a consumer-based tax rather than just a participation-based tax, which I kind of like as well. I think there's some good mechanics to that there. And it also allows us to do something like if we were to do a theoretical, again, theoretical, not finalized, but theoretical, of course, 15% claims tax. Then we could say at 1 month it reduces down to 7.5% claims tax, and that just gives people another incentive to maybe not claim every day if they don't want to, because they can get a better tax rate in the future. Kind of similar to how Thor has their sliding tax, but not quite the same mechanic there. It won't be defined every 7 days. Ideally, it would just be about once a month it'll decrease. So those are some of the different mechanics there. But this really allows us to refocus and rebuild into the new age of this market, right? So we've all, we see people come in and criticize, and I totally understand it. I'm not going to fault anyone or, berate anyone on here. But every single day in this space right now, another decent sized project just went under like 30 minutes ago. Every single day right now in this bear market, DeFi projects are going down. They're closing up shop. They cannot figure out how to survive, right? This is something that I'm not saying, pat on the back, good job us. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying Polar's going to be here through this bear market. And then we're going to then continue to work and progress from there all the way through and into the next bull. So this is what I want to highlight here is, yes, the markets are hard. It's hard for everybody. We cannot flip a magic switch and turn things around on the spot, but we do have the ability to continue to work and keep our doors opened for, quite frankly, almost as long as we might ever need to, right? So now that we have outside revenue coming in, we can continue to pay developmental things in a variety of different aspects. So we can keep the doors open here for quite some time. That's what I like to see here. And that's why I'm still here with you guys at Polar every single day, because if I was with a project that was falling apart, literally on the fundamental side, then I wouldn't want to be a part of that project personally. And that is not what Polar is. That's not what Polar is doing. It really allows us to build and progress and really kind of reinvent the wheel here, so to speak, because the wheel of DeFi is different than it was 1 year ago. So I'm kind of going on a little bit of a tangent, and I'm not, again, I don't want to pat on the back or anything for Polar. I don't really care. But that being said, it's something comforting to me that I can talk to literally every single day, and we are still growing. We are still building. We are still progressing. We are still pushing this vision, and it's a different vision than it was back in January, of course, but it's still a vision that I can actually get behind there, and ideally it'll become a more sustainable and I guess safe vision as we move past this. We learn the lessons of the bear and we move forward. So a lot of good things there. I actually like the mentality that has been brought up by the rest of the core team as well. I think everyone's in a pretty good mental space. So that's good news to hear. And I know maybe that's not what everyone wants to hear because token price is way down, and I get that. But it's good and hopefully reassuring to know that here, at least from the team side, we're all very confident that we can get this thing working into the future. So hopefully that kind of, maybe eases some minds a little bit. You guys have known me long enough that I'm not going to BS you up here. There's really no point in me doing so. So I've even told you in the past when I had like legit drag out fights with the no longer here core team that were here with us at the times there over some of the stuff that was going on. So you guys know you're going to get at least the real from me, and I feel good about where we're progressing to. The BSC side is super cool. I love that. That's going to be a great addition to protocol. A lot better experience on Binance than on Avalanche right now. So that'll be a pretty good thing with us. Hey, if you guys do have questions, Epic Dadbot, we will answer yours in general, but please try to converge them down to the AMA Questions Weekly channel that I tagged in the community announcement. It's also in the Polar Community channel tab there. That way we just don't want to miss your questions. So please try to keep those questions in there. But I see yours, so we will answer that anyway. So we do have different things. I know Enor is looking at a variety of different things that we can go over to release for today's AMA. There's still a lot working behind the scenes. Let's see if I can quickly find some of the updates there. Oh, Trust Wallet, right? Enor is reaching out to Josh again to try to get an update on the Trust Wallet, folks. I know that's super stressful and a little bit frustrating to not be able to access your nodes or your tokens or anything, especially when I just told you that the tokens will no longer be supported on Avalanche. So we are trying to work at some solutions at Trust Wallet, see if Josh can get us some progress on that end. I think that'll really allow us to expand and grow, at least before we ever get live. It allows you guys to make that choice if you want to continue on creating nodes or whatever you choose to do. That's very, very important for the community. But beyond that, it's a lot of building phase right now. The artists are working, almost overtime at this point to try to get some of these things going. Enor's dropped a couple updates, some of which are rougher than others, but they're looking good. The progress on the different artwork for the dApp, the different artwork for the game side. It's all coming together very, very well. Contracts are already in very late stages and should be completed here in the next week or so. So a lot of good progress already moving along with what we have going on our end. So let's see here. Again, if you guys have any questions, please just simply request to speak and I'll bring you up here live. I'm sorry if my voice might sound a little bit raspy. It's allergy season here in West Texas, so I'm dealing with a little bit of congestion. Sort of makes me miss the northern parts of the United States with the beautiful trees and all that. But I got desert and dust, so that makes me a little bit harder to breathe sometimes. But it's all good. So if you guys do have any questions, please simply request to speak. Post away in the AMA Questions Weekly channel, and we will answer your questions for you. So we do have, let's see. Julian, we do have one question that kind of popped up in general. I'll just read that one real quick, and then we'll go to the other questions, the AMA Questions Weekly. But from Epic Dagbot, his question was, will switching to the BNB network change the price? Will we be using BNB or ETH for payments? So when we switch to BSC, I'll kind of try to break this down for those who are not familiar with the different networks. But pretend like you have just, you're on Avalanche, right? Everything on gas, for gas fees, all transactions, runs off of AVAX. So AVAX is your primary blockchain token on Avalanche. For Ethereum, ETH is your primary blockchain token. Any transaction requires you to have some Ethereum in your wallet. For BSC, the Binance Smart Chain, it's the same. You're going to select a different tab on your MetaMask and it'll open up the Binance Smart Chain. And then you'll have to have some BNB in your wallet for any and all transactions. So bear that in mind there. Even for the migration, you'll have to have some BNB in there. There have been some people to suggest different things here, including the Rubik exchange. I haven't quite tried that personally just yet as far as trying to move from AVAX to BSC, but I did do a test of USDC to USDC on two different networks, and it worked out pretty well. So maybe that Rubik exchange can work out. I'm not going to sit here and directly recommend it, but I will recommend to do some research on it and see if that works. Because if that does work as advertised, it would allow you to transfer AVAX or whatever from Avalanche over to BNB on the BSC side. That way you have some BNB without having to import it from some centralized exchange or something like that. It allows you to stay in the DeFi stratosphere. So try that out. If you want to try a little test amount out, maybe I'll try it out actually so that you guys aren't risking it. I'll go try to make sure I can get it right there. And then we can release some guides as we get a little bit closer. So that'll be good. So there will be BNB for all transactions. To answer your question, Epic Dadbod, will it change the price? Well, like I said, there's going to be a totally new token. So we can set the tokenomics however we want. We can have them start out as less than $1. Like we can launch the new tokenomic at 0.0000001 and it still be a stronger token than it is now at 0.005. Or we can technically launch it at like $20 a token and then it's still fractionalized in exchanges and all that stuff there. So really all you do when you set token price is you pair a certain amount of the native token with your pair token, which will either be BUSD or BNB once we go over to the BSC side. And then you do some quick math to set a total token price that you want associated with your token and split it accordingly so that that liquidity pool token, the pair token, allows it to be some identified price. So don't worry too much about that. But the good news on it is that all these sales that are happening right now are not going to be quite as relevant on the BSC side because it's an entirely new token and it kind of lets us hit that little refresh button as we move forward. So I think I answered that question there. But yeah, so Julian, if you don't mind, we can start going into those AMA Questions Weekly channel and start answering the questions from the people.
All right. The first question is from Barbie Boy. So the current Polar token on AVAX will become worthless as there's no use for it. Won't be able to build more nodes. Will nodes transfer one and one to BSC? And what is the timeline to migrate to BSC?
Yeah, so a couple different questions there. So the Polar token on AVAX, I'm not going to say it's going to become worthless, but there will be no more utility on AVAX. There'll be no nodes on AVAX. Polar will not be on AVAX. The Polar token will not be pulled. So what does that mean? That just means we're not going to pull liquidity out from Trader Joe, or excuse me, yeah, from Trader Joe, so that you can technically still trade your Polar tokens on the Avalanche network. But then you're going to be creating different nodes, and obviously you can migrate your nodes over to BSC on the Binance Smart Chain, and there'll be a different token associated with that side of the project over there. So there will be no utility of AVAX on Avalanche after we do the migration to BSC. So likely it'll just end up being sold out until the LP is very, very low, and it's already very low because it shows 90,000 liquidity, but you have to imagine that's actually paired between two different tokens. So it's paired between AVAX and Polar, which means there's only about 45,000 or so worth of AVAX in there. So personally speaking, I would rather us just pull that liquidity out and then either hang on to the AVAX for a while or make it BNB or whatever. That's what I would personally do, and just let the LP basically become null and void over here. But there's also some issues with that. If we don't do a one-to-one token airdrop, then obviously I would call that ethically wrong if you were to do that. And I think that's probably where Enor's headspace is. So he doesn't want to, leave the token holders ethically in a bad place. So I actually envy that from him as well. And it protects the future of the protocol quite significantly. So I like the move overall. The nodes will be technically one-to-one to BSC to some extent. We've had different discussions about which nodes are going to get, at least downgraded or otherwise maybe not be able to I'm not fully sure how it's going to work. So I don't want to use trigger words that get people all worked up until I know for sure how the system is going to work. But there is going to be a certain, number creation of node and before that will not be very useful in the future. So generally the higher numbered nodes are going to be more practical, and that's what will likely be end up migrating over to that BSC side a bit more cleanly. I've heard people say, well, what if nodes get deleted? Are nodes going to get deleted? I don't know yet, but I also don't think it's the worst idea if they did. If you took like number 35 or 40,000 or so and before, and just say, yep, these have had their run and we can move forward without them and it cleans up the future, I think that's a good calculated risk to take if it were to be taken. Again, I'm not saying it is, but in my little mathematical assessment, if you were to do that and then also take into account a lot of people might not actually migrate their nodes over, we can really have a good fresh start on BSC, and those who still actually believe in the project can still get in a pretty low barrier to entry and then really allow it to progress and thrive into the future. That's how I'd be looking at it instead of trying to take care of the 1 minute from now. I know, I'm not trying to say we're trying to leave people behind that were in it since January and February and March. So please don't interpret it that way. But we do have to understand that our emissions are already, it's not practical. We've seen it in the token price. It's a major issue. So that's a solution. It's a painful solution, but it's one that I'd personally get behind if it were to happen. And I can sit up here in an AMA and explain why pretty well and pretty easily, even though many might not like that a whole lot. Again, it's not what's happening. I'm not saying that it's confirmed or anything, but that's just me thinking out loud, giving you guys something to chew on, at least give you a little visual of how my mind might work. And then the next part of that, what is the timeline to migrate to BSC? I did just answer that briefly. We expect to have the contracts ready to go in about a week. Then there'll be a testnet phase, depending how much we have to work on. Ideally, days, maybe a week or two max from that, September 20th date of the contracts being done is where I'd almost would rather say 2 weeks from there and then it'd only be 3 days, for example, than to say 3 to 5 days and it'd take 2 weeks. So once that testnet phase goes live, that's literally just to find bugs, and then we push it to mainnet and we're ready to go live. So hopefully sooner rather than later. I would still expect it by the end of the month. That's my little personal mental timeline, but I do not have any finite information on that just yet.
All right. The next question from Bobby Boy is there a trading bot update? Can we get something posted once every 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, so Edor has control of all the APIs. I'll see if I can get an update from him to put them out there. But he should be able to get an update from them, and then we can post them there. I know they did take a bit of a of a hit during the FOMC meeting and all that, and it is what it is. Again, I personally, if you guys follow me in any capacity in my other world here, I do post my updates, whether it's wins or losses, just because I don't really care. If people want to FUD the trading bots, they're more than happy to do so. I don't really care to, because that's at least it's real money that's being won or lost in a sense. But I'll talk to him, see if we can get it out. I don't think people would take it too negatively. Like Ego went minus, I think 6% for the month, and that's not good, right? That could get people a little worked up on a negative way. But in my opinion, it's us trying. It's us bringing something in new to the space. Yes, it's had a down month. That sucks. But it hasn't had a down month in 6 months. So, hey, one down month is what it is. Just so happened to be when we went in on it, right? It is what it is there. But I'll see if we can get some updates posted a bit more frequently to allow us to put that information out there. And we do have a question from the audience. Mr. T, I'm going to bring you up here. Once you accept, you can talk live. Give us a little break from talking for a minute. All you got to do is accept that invite. And then once you pop in, I am trying to give us some time, Mr. T. Whenever you jump on into the Discord. All right, we'll keep reading off questions there. Mr. T seems to have disconnected, but we have Sam, formerly Sam Lukens, now Samuel Camel, that German Shepherd that we all have known to come and love. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. How you doing?
Perfect. Good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. I got my own German Shepherd sleeping in the office and my Husky. So we're all enjoying the AMA.
I was going to say, mine doesn't quite do that yet. At just over a year old, she's still a nutball. So working on the calm side of the dog. But yeah, so always a pleasure to come up. Thanks for having the weekly hangout for us as community. But I know there's a lot of variables to come with the BSC switch, and it's something that I haven't really talked with Enor about. I wasn't sure if you had heard any and how all of that correlates over. Is there any protection for, I'm just going to throw out random numbers that are probably unrealistic. Say you made the new token $20 a piece and people are making 1,000 of these new tokens a day. People are going to try and cash out really quick. Like I said, that's a little unrealistic of total numbers. But is there any thought of that happening? Is there any concern? Is there any protection for that case? Love to hear your thought.
Yeah, so that's a great question there. And that's one of the reasons that I would not encourage an already established project that has the money to do so to not have pre-sales or seed investors or stuff like that, because that could lead to a very quick and sharp decline in token price, especially in the bear market. And again, from personal experience, if people find the opportunity to make money in a bear market, they don't care about your project, they will take it. So if you do a pre-sale and it goes up by 20% after launch, they will dump your token well below pre-sale quick and in a hurry, right? So that's just what they do. So as far as protections of the token go on, I think one of the cleanest aspects is one, not having that airdrop one-to-one of the Polar tokens, which is probably what Enor's mindset is on leaving this LP alone on AVAX, just letting it be it, and then moving on to the BSC side. But that being said, the other part of it is going to be how do we function with the different mechanics on the new structure, right? So if the nodes are still producing a native token, which I don't know if they are, I'd assume that they are though. Let's just say that they are. There still has to be enough buy pressure to offset what could be being sold, or at least an increased buy functionality of some point, right? So there's a lot that could go on with that. If people were to, be receiving a ton of tokens right away, there could be a sharp decline. That could very well happen if they choose to sell it, especially if the token price is worth selling to them, right? So those are all things to kind of keep in mind as we go on. We will incorporate a little bit of a sales tax, won't be much. I think the idea, the thought process is maybe 4%, so we're not thinking a whole lot there. But really, it's just, if we leave it so that you have to create nodes with a native token, and the native token then also gives back that same native token, or the nodes give back that same native token, it's going to lead to an ultimate sell-off at some point either way. So ideally, we can structure it a little bit differently. but I'm not too sure how just yet.
For sure. For sure. I know there's a lot of variables there, and I think there's so many things that need to be figured out before you can truly actually answer that question. I just wasn't sure if there was any idea or things that have been talked about that I just hadn't caught yet on that realm. So I appreciate it.
Hey man, thanks for that question. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good thought provoker for anyone out there. Is definitely give us suggestions too. If you've seen something else work in another project out there, hit us up. I know sometimes I kind of brush off stuff, and it's not really brush off. It's usually that we've seen it, we've assessed it, and I just say thank you, but we're not going to move forward with that. But let us know suggestions. If a token project has done something similar and succeeded or failed, I would definitely be happy to look at what their successes or failures were. That can help us as we decide what we do to move forward. So, hey, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Now we got a bunch of people speaking. I love it. Sam, you sparked the influx, so shout out to you. What's going on?
Yo,
We can hear just fine. What can we help you with?
yo, OX Prise, tu connais, on est en direct du Banks.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time understanding you, but I can. Okay, appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't kick you out, but I definitely appreciate you coming up. Next on the board here will be Fish. Long time no talk. Once you come up here, how's it going, man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing pretty well. How have you been?
I'm good. Everything's good. I just had a quick question. So if you guys are, like you suggested earlier, if you say, hey, all nodes prior to 35,000 or something aren't going to be migrated over, will there be a heads up for that? And two, would you encourage, like, is it a smarter play to go ahead and buy more nodes now in an effort to have those transition over? Like, I guess will that be made known so that we can have the opportunity to purchase more in the back end if we want to have more transfer over?
Yeah, so as soon as I know for a fact of exactly what's going to happen with all that element, I'll definitely put the information out there. I've already worked with Enor a little bit yesterday and today about trying to get an updated white paper where I'm definitely not a graphics person, but I can put together some words to explain the vision and all that there. So ideally, we can let you guys know in advance. But yeah, that would be a simple solution is if you do have a bunch of nodes from, April and prior, and then a bunch of nodes back in April was like 50 was a whale, right? So if, right now 50 Everest, not for everyone's situation in the world. So I don't want to sound like, I'm looking down on some people, but it's relatively inexpensive to replace those 50 nodes right now. But if you didn't know that, then you might just be SOL if we were to just do it, blindfolded. So I'll try to get that information secured and get that out to the people so that everybody can make a good informed decision.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for the question. Appreciate you coming up here.
Yep.
Back to back to back. Polar dividend. Getting me all excited up here on these AMAs. If you do join, if you don't, you still got me excited anyway. What's going on, Polar Dividend? How you doing?
Hey, Shib, how you doing? Thank you for answering my questions. I'm a newbie to all this crypto stuff, and it's been quite a ride trying to adjust to what we're doing. So I've got like 21 nodes right now, and I've just been compounding, claiming, and buying, kind of what Enor had said. I asked the question earlier with you. I need to get into that the BNB and BSC and put money over there. So just so I understand, I know you may have said it's just confusing to me, but so when I'm going to pull all my nodes over. And when I do that, are those nodes going to be generating tokens of BSC then? Or BNB, whatever?
Yeah, so we'll see kind of what exactly they're going to do, but they will be generating tokens on the BNB network. So everything will be over there on that Binance Smart Chain side.
Okay, so they will be. I understand we don't know what the quantities of it, and if all the nodes might not come over like we had the other migration. I get all of that, but I should end up with some nodes on this new platform that will be generating these new coins. Correct?
Yes, you are correct in that assessment.
Excellent. Okay, that's all I really wanted to know. Thank you so much for all you guys. You know what you're doing. Like I said, I don't know a lot about this, but I know a lot of other projects have failed left and right. Like you said, you guys are still here. You answer all the questions. People that give us a hard time, they just don't even belong here. I mean, they should just go invest in the stock market. You know, if you want to complain. So anyway, God bless. Thank you so much, and go Polar.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming up. If you do have any questions, of course, keep asking. If you need to figure out some more how to get over to the BSC side, just hit me up. You can even DM me, and we'll work through it. So no worries there. But appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I will do that if I need it. Thank you.
All right.
Have
Hey,
a good one.
Yep. Thanks. Hey, that is true. Shout out to him though. Getting into crypto during a bear market, and maybe he got in a little bit before, but staying with it right now. Not many people are doing that. If you've just got in, now if you got in 2018. You've seen this before. We're okay. But if you got in 2020 during a high, this is stressful as heck. So maybe you're used to it by now, maybe not. But shout out to everyone there. The wave, the storm will end eventually, and we'll be back on top in due time. So don't worry. A whole lot about the crypto world. We'll figure it out. But keep your family priority number one. Keep yourself healthy. Keep your mind right, and we'll do our thing in the DeFi world. So shout out to that.
So I don't think there's anyone else requesting to speak, so I'll just go on with the AMA Questions Weekly channel. The next question is from Emilius. Will we have taxes on sales? Seems like a standard 10 to 15% to help sustain the project, or at least another revenue stream coming back in for support.
Yeah, so there will be a buy and sales tax incorporated with the new token, more than likely. But we got to be a little bit cautious with that. So ideally, we're going to have a claims tax for the nodes themselves. And like I said, I would probably guesstimate somewhere around 15% that can decrease to maybe 7.5% after some defined period of time. But you have to watch the buys and sales tax because right now CoinGecko is refusing to list any token that has a independent buy or sales tax above 10%. So 10% or above rather, so above 9%. So if you have 9% buy tax and 9% sales tax, you can get listed on CoinGecko. But if you have 9% buy and 10% sale, you will not get listed. They will decline your application just for that. So fortunately, I've already identified that. So we're good there. We'll probably keep it at like 4%, somewhere pretty low and reasonable. That'll at least allow it to make up a little bit. It'll also kind of encourage people to say, maybe I'll just get in and hold the token. And they're not just doing a direct flip. It allows it to maybe have some additional different support on that end.
All right. Next question is from Temp123. Is there any thought to accommodate those who have nodes that have not RI'd on cash basis during the transfer, for example?
Yeah, so there's always thought on how to make this as fair as possible, right? So I kind of went into a little bit before where I know for 100% sure that not everyone is going to be happy with however we decide to do the migration. I'm very clear on that. I'm not going to pretend like it's going to be otherwise, right? So what we have to do is find at least a happy middle ground where we can take the priorities of those who have invested with us for a long time, especially those who are back, in like late March to early to mid-April, where their dollar amount is unfortunately, it's just not going to happen with the current conditions, right? So right now, if we stayed on course, they're looking at years to ROI. Well, that's not reasonable. It's kind of, absurd, right? So in this case, we have to identify that and say that's a problem, but we also have to identify that if we cater too much towards about a month and a half period of time for the totality of our existence, we will also bankrupt the future of the protocol very, very quickly. So there is a middle ground, and I have one in mind. Not everyone will be happy with it, but I've already hinted at it with today's AMA. So things like that there could help. But what Enor said is kind of true. If you do want to get more nodes now, you can make up for some of those other, lack of nodes at some point, and then they can migrate over to the BSC side once we push that update. I know it's not the cleanest of answer, and I know it's, again, not everyone's going to be happy with it, but we do keep that in mind constantly. And I can very, very much so vouch for Enor and the conversations that we've had for months now about how to keep our community, at like as fair as possible with everything that we're working on in the future. So we know how we got to this point, and it was off of those especially early nodes that generated our treasury, right? So we have to understand that, but we still cannot bankrupt the totality of Polar just to account for maybe a small period of time that kind of sucks, right? So hopefully that answers your question. I'm being a little bit, offset with my speech there because I don't want to sound harsh or anything, but that's, ideally we'll find a happy middle ground and hopefully most people will be okay with it. And if they're not, I can also sit here and explain maybe why we did a certain thing a certain way.
All right. All right. The next question from She Likes the Dip. For the migration to BSC, what is recommended for the Polar AVAX pair? Should we create more nodes now before migration or sell them, or will we get the new pair one-on-one?
So I don't expect you to get new tokens over on the new side airdrop to you, but you will get new nodes that you can migrate over to there. So if you did, again, not financial advice, but if you did decide to make more nodes, they are able to be migrated over to the BSC side. If you just accumulate tokens, they will not be able to migrate over to the BSC side. So with that information, I think you can at least make an informed decision, ideally. But the token here will not be supported on AVAX any longer once we move over to the BSC update, and that's still a few weeks away, so don't stress too much. But the nodes will transfer over to the BSC side.
Okay.
Looks like the next one is from, we can answer the question about the trading bot stuff from WG.
All right. Okay. I'm interested in finding out how we can invest money into the trading bot versus putting more money into buying nodes.
Okay, cool. So I actually like this question, and I know I don't normally take a whole lot of these, but I kind of wanted, I'm glad you put that up here, right? So trading bots, you can definitely do some research and find some decent ones out there. That's exactly what Enor and I did. That being said, everyone that I'm close with, who I've personally at least shown how to get involved, a lot of them have bailed since the last 2 weeks because the FOMC meeting, it took an L. And then yesterday, it took an L, right? So that being said, not everybody has a tolerance for these. Now, if you can zoom out and say over 6 months, these things are up, 800%, then heck yeah, that's fantastic. Most people in DeFi, they don't have the tolerance for a token price going down 5%, let alone losing a trade at 15 or 20% in one trade, even though it will likely come back, right? So definitely do some research. There's no magic potion to making money here, but there is some different incentives for using trade bots. I like to use them for, I've established a business out of the Marshall Islands, and I basically run a personal business as a company. Then I pay myself from my company, and I run that business off the back of crypto and trading currencies. So that's what I do for my own personal income outside of, my community manager roles and some other roles in DeFi. I like it. It's interesting. I'm a numbers guy. Sometimes you can give the bots a little bit of a boost if you're used to understanding charts because they just read trends. You can read community sentiment and, crypto sentiment better than a bot can. So there's pros and cons. It's not a magic button. If you would like to get involved, I know many people have DM'd me. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to get involved, but I can guide people at least to the right areas and say, maybe you should start research here. That's usually the extent of what I do.
Okay, great. Tank 420 is requesting to speak.
Yeah, we'll bring you up here. Sorry, I didn't see you. Tank 420. Once you accept that invite, you will be up here live, and you can ask away. Heck yeah, 64 people in this AMA. Shout out to you guys. Definitely appreciate it. Hopefully my voice doesn't sound too crazy, but if it does, I apologize. What's going on, Tank?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not-
Yeah, I just to the AMA a little late. I heard Fish talking, and I believe that he said that, or somebody said that any of the nodes that were created before the 35,000 range were going to be depleted, or so they won't transfer over. Is that correct?
No, so this was a theoretical. So unfortunately, you're the you're that part of there that I really try to I start talking lawyer on. So it's just an idea that I've had to help reduce emissions quite significantly, but there's nothing guaranteed in that. There's nothing formalized there. So that's not that is not something defined currently. Sorry, my husky's chewing on my dang office chair. But yeah, nothing is defined on that currently. So it's just an idea at this point.
Okay, no worries. Also, so whenever we transfer over to, what is it, BNC, is that correct?
Yes, we'll be going into the Binance Smart Chain.
Okay, is there going to be a certain protocol on how to do that? Maybe like a step by step, or because again, I'm pretty new to it too, and I just want to make sure that I do everything correctly, or I don't know.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have a test net, and then I can kind of do like a test net example because it should translate to the main net. But if the worst case scenario, the DApp will be very, very easy to read, and I can produce a quick little video pretty much immediately upon it going to mainnet that really can just let people see step by step. Maybe I'll even jump on the AMA when we go mainnet and just do a screen share and kind of piece through it that way. But it will literally just be pressing the button on the new DApp. But I will try to get a video out, if not immediately, as soon as possible.
Okay, and then also for the Binance token itself, is it BSC? Is that correct?
So BSC is the Binance Smart Chain. The native token of BSC is BNB.
Okay, and then do we purchase those through Trader Joe, or how does that all work?
Okay, yeah. So Trader Joe is the decentralized exchange for the Avalanche network primarily. The one that you'll want to use once you get over to the BSC side is called Pancake Swap. So that'll be that main Pancake Swap. Now Rubik Exchange, which maybe I should post a link. I've had multiple people just confirm that it does work. With Rubik Exchange, you can trade AVAX on the Avalanche network for BNB on the BSC network so that you have some BNB already over there for gas fees, because right now you don't, I'd assume. So you wouldn't be able to do any transactions right now or even migrate. But if you were to get BNB over there, then you can do them.
Okay, and we would just do that through MetaMask?
You basically would connect your MetaMask wallet to, in this case, the Rubik Exchange and RUBIC Exchange, and that'll allow you to swap out AVAX from the Avalanche side or USDC or whatever token you want, and then you can get directly BNB on the BSC network, and it'll all go over to your MetaMask wallet just on that different chain.
Okay, so Rubik Exchange and Pancake Swap, right?
Yes, those are the two primary components that you'll be using here.
Picking up my kids from school.
No, you're good.
All right.
I'll try to get an update on it all laid out so everyone can find it pretty easy.
It's okay, buddy. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks for coming up here. Appreciate you talking.
For sure.
Good questions there. Yeah, so as I'm getting more into this, I'm definitely going to have to put together a step-by-step on how to get over to the BSC side. So I'll do all that for us, ideally before we go live. I am going to Germany for 9 days starting next week, so I'll get that done before, just in case, but then we can be here live for the update whenever. What's going on, T-Mob?
Hey, what's up? I was gonna say there's a lot of tools they can use to bridge that stuff over that are out there, or they can purchase via like Qcoin or whatever and send it over. But my question and I'm sure that you already have that out there, and I haven't found it yet. Is there like a conversion rate somewhere that shows like if I have, receiving 1,300 Polar a day or whatever and X amount of Everest, what that will look like on BNB, or once we convert it over? I know it's not going to be the same, right? I just was curious of how that would, look
Yeah, so
in
I don't
the
have
environment.
I don't have anything on that just yet because I don't know the exact tokenomics of the new chain. So it could be relatively similar, it could be entirely different. And just with my current knowledge base, I really can't. I don't know anything
That's all right.
to give you
No
guys
big
right
deal.
now.
I just thought I'd ask. I'll be patient and wait like everybody else. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for asking.
Yep.
Damn, we got all the people talking about voice today. Appreciate you guys coming on up here. Again, if you do have any questions, please simply request to speak or post away in the AMA questions channel, and we will answer your nodes or your questions about your nodes for you. Sorry, I was reading the word node when I was talking. All right, we can probably go on to the next question here on the AMA questions channel. Let's see.
Oh, all right. Okay. I'm sorry. I think I just had a minor disconnect, but I'm back.
No, it's all good.
The next question would be from Thorbob. So if the Polar token does not follow the move to BNB, what will our rewards be paid in? Will rewards continue after the migration?
So there will be some kind of rewards. I do not know what it's going to be paid in. I kind of already went over just a little bit. I honestly don't know just yet on the exact tokenomics of the new node protocol. But as soon as I do, I'll get that information out. So I do apologize, but I just don't have the information here today. Looks like we do have somebody else requesting to speak, though. Someone bring you up. Has cash. Hopefully you do has cash still in this bear market as we bring you up here live on our community AMA. What's going on?
Yeah, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. How you doing today?
Okay, yeah, on MetaMask, they populated BNB into the network already. You just press the top and it'll show you the networks, and you just click on BNB, and it's already populated for you.
Yep, that's another easy way to do it. You can also do it through PancakeSwap. It does the same exact thing. So there's a lot of easy ways to do it.
I mean, putting BNB on your network for MetaMask.
Yes, but you do need to have BNB in your wallet before it'll show up, of course.
No, but I'm saying like switching MetaMask to the BNB network. All you have to do is
I don't know if I cut out or if you cut out there, but I don't hear anything currently.
You don't hear me?
Yeah, so
Hello?
I think you cut out there. I can hear you now, though.
Okay, so I'm saying on MetaMask, when you select the networks at the top, BNB is one of the networks now. So you can just click on it and it's already populated to be on the BNB network.
Oh, cool. Yeah, easy enough. So that should be just
Yeah.
a way to do it there for everyone who wants to get involved.
And another way to switch AVAX over is open a PayPal wallet, and you can switch everything in PayPal. Easy.
Oh, hey, cool. Even more interesting.
I mean,
So-
not PayPal, SafePal.
SafePal, yeah, that would make more sense.
Yeah, not PayPal, SafePal. That's where I switch all my AVAX to BNB. Because I'm in Hawaii, we can't even get a lot of stuff. We got to do all kinds of tricks.
Hey, you got to get a VPN around just to get going. Put it in Melbourne, Australia. That's where I put mine.
Yeah.
So-
I know. We can't get Coinbase. We can't get nothing. So.
Ugh. Yeah, that's rough, but definitely appreciate the information, man. Yeah, there's so many different ways to get it over. So it's just more so trying to give the community that information, that knowledge base. So appreciate the help.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, man. Next one, Sergeant Slicksta. Everyone's talking today. Heck yeah, we are 49 minutes into this AMA. Shout out to you guys for making time fly like a time machine. So Sergeant Slicksta, whenever you come on up, you will be live. If you did mean to come on up anyway, I'm still filibustering. Just petting the old husky while I'm waiting to see if you do actually connect, because she's happy and no longer eating my office chair, so that's a plus. Giving you some time though. Just in case there are connection issues, we might just go on and read the next question. But hey, Sergeant Slicksta, if you do connect, just give us a minute and we'll answer your question as well. So we will go on to the next written question. We'll knock through some of those.
All right. The next question from Ronan the Dude. Could you talk about the nodes in general, as in the tiers of node? Will any tiers be eliminated, etc.? If we cover this by the time we get to these questions, just skip.
Yeah, so the only node that I would foresee being very limited is the Olympus node. I would also probably reasonably expect a node cap at some point in the near future. That's what I'd like to see as well. So we will hopefully get some of that going. But right now it'll just be the Olympus that'll be limited.
All right. Actually, Ronan just requested to speak. Maybe we can move him up.
Yep, I'll bring you up here right now. Oh, we got two people, Fish and Ronan, but we're going to bring Ronan up first. So whenever you connect, you will be live. What's going on?
What's up, Shib? How's it going, buddy?
Doing pretty well here, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. Just to kind of clarify the question I was asking, it was more about will we be eliminating any tiers of nodes, or will all the tiers still be pretty much in effect when we cross chain? I kind of was reading before in general chat, and I thought there was some mention that we may not have every single tier available due to the adjustments in tokenomics.
So I just kind of went a little bit into that. I think I don't expect them to be like entirely limited, except for the Olympus. I think the Olympus might be limited unless we totally rework all the tokenomics, and then maybe they can all be available. But there might be some built-in limitations as far as like hard caps go, or maybe even soft caps over time. So things like that I would definitely look out for, but I don't have that exact information on the migration just yet.
All right. Yeah, so I was just kind of wondering if some nodes just wouldn't exist anymore, like say Fuji, Mont Blancs. Will we still have all 4 or 5 tiers of nodes?
Yes, as of
Or
right
we're not
now, I
gonna...
expect all the different tiers to move over effectively to the BSC side.
All right. That's all I got, man. Thanks.
Hey, good to hear from you, man. Appreciate it. Round two of Fish. If you guys didn't notice, I'm prioritizing those who speak because it gives us a break. So shout out to that. But I will get to your written questions as well. What's going on, man?
Oh shit, what was I gonna ask? Oh yeah. You said something about Olympus nodes. I kind of missed that part. Were you saying those aren't going to migrate over, or they will migrate over?
No, they should migrate over, but they will likely be still limited, kind of like how we have them now. That's what I'd expect from them. But they should migrate over just fine. Just be still limited like we have been for the last several months.
Okay. And then everything else that was on the roadmap, you're still planning on implementing all of that, Polaris, everything, just on BSC instead of AVAX?
Yeah, so personally, I think the game side of it would be better on the Polygon network. That's generally where most of the game protocols are currently landing, but all of that is still going to, at least, right now it's designed to be developed. We're just trying to prioritize, one step at a time, which is good, but that's all still scheduled to happen at least.
Is the inspiration for this move because of all the negativity surrounding AVAX?
Not necessarily, but that kind of triggered it, right? So that triggered some more in-depth investigation. So if you guys are on a PC right now and you want to do something fun and exciting, because I think it's fun and exciting, if you go to dexscreener.com, DEXSCREENER.com, and then there on the left, it has all the different blockchains. Once you click on those, right there on the top, you'll see 24-hour volume. BSC's 24-hour volume is 313.7 million. Now let's go check Avalanche. 24-hour volume on Avalanche, 53.6 million. So about 1/6, even less than that, of the current volume of BSC is on Avalanche, and Polygon's is 139 million. So we're still talking multiple times higher over there as well, over like about 2.5. So Avalanche is just not having a whole lot of volume pushing on it right now. And most of it is within stablecoins. If you look through here, almost entirely of it is either wrapped ETH or stablecoins. So take that for what it's worth. But Avalanche just hasn't had the steam that it once had over time.
Cool. Okay. I appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate that and allowed me to do a little cool thing with the community. I should have probably screen shared, but oh well. It's all good. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
All right, cool. And then we'll jump back to those written questions here. Already pretty good. 55 minutes in. Shout out to you guys.
So next question from T. Will. Any idea how much BNB is needed to migrate?
So I honestly don't know just yet. It's going to depend a lot on the complexity of the contract. So as of right now, I use BSC primarily. Really, the only project that I run that's not on BSC these days is Polar on Avalanche. So mostly I'm on BSC. Most transactions are about 5 cents that I engage with, especially with like BUSD. It's very, very cheap. Sometimes even less than that, right? So now let's just say that it just does so happen to be 5 cents per line of transaction code, and you have if you have 1,000 nodes, right, at 0.05, that'd be $50. That wouldn't be too bad. That would be like point less than 0.2 BNB, for example. But it could be a lot more complex than that. It could be, instead of 5 cents per node, it could be 20 or 30 cents. I honestly don't know just yet. Hopefully the testnet will give us a better idea of how it's going to be pulling data for the migration lines, and then I can get a better understanding from there. So I would be a little bit optimistic if you're able to, and just get a little bit of extra BNB in that wallet. But hopefully it's not too much. If you have less than a couple hundred nodes, I don't think it'll be overly expensive to migrate over.
Perfect. Next question from
You good? You muted there. Okay. Are you good?
okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I. Never mind. Okay, I'll just. The question from Lee Johns. What will be the new reward model after the migration? I'd recommend cutting the rewards.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be cut by some capacity, but I don't know just yet. I've kind of gone into that a little bit already today, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I don't really know what the new tokenomics are going to be, but you're better believe that I want them cut from where they currently are, because that is obviously we've seen the inflationary issues. So
all right. Question from One Tunch. I hope I pronounced it right. Is it possible and useful to add an option to burn nodes in exchange for some rewards? For example, after the update, several of my nodes would need life potions. I could burn my oldest node in exchange for X life potions. X depends on size of node.
I don't think that's how the contracts are currently built. So I don't know if that would be implemented, but it would make sense in a theoretical. But I don't think the contracts currently have them being built into it. But I could look into that, see if that's something practical. I'm not entirely sure though, so I don't want to guarantee that.
All right. Question from Coca-Cola Polar Bear. I have not been following for a while, as I have been struggling with mental health issues from the service. I do appreciate you keeping up with the AMAs. I have been stocking up on my Polar tokens for a couple of months as I invested 20,000 USD. I've only recouped 22% of my investment. I read that Polar is moving to BSC. How and what is the plan of action to instill investor confidence? I would invest more USD into the new way Polar is going, but until I at least get back even money, I am not willing to gamble any longer. Thanks, Ship. I appreciate you staying on the ball.
Yeah, so shout out to you, man. I know life is a bit tricky. So from the service, I don't know if you're talking about military service or what you may be doing there, but if you are, no matter what it is, mental health is you guys have heard me kind of go into mental health before. I think in the past, I have in the past suffered from various depression, actually not from my military service, even though I saw a lot of nonsense, or even from my former police job, but actually from a divorce that actually put me down pretty low at some point. But that being said, we're all humans, so take care of yourself first and foremost. Take care of your family always. And then everything else after that comes into play. That's why you'll never find me asking people or telling people what to do with their money, because DeFi is very, very, it's quick triggered. Like right now, this is a hard time in DeFi, and it's almost exhausting. It's draining. So it might not be good for anyone that is, trying to get into a better mental space as well. Always. So it might be better to find something that's a little bit less what's the word, less volatile, at least in the meantime, till we can get out of the markets that we're currently in, or even just get into USDC and follow projects like a community, because there is a lot of community in DeFi, and that's really what attracted me to this, coming from a police field and then from a military field. I've been in a very community-driven industry my entire adult life, so decade plus of all that, the community in DeFi helps me out kind of with my day-to-day as well, so I love that. That being said, I cannot sit here and promise the world as far as how do we instill investor confidence or consumer confidence. We are building quite a bit. We're hoping that it works accordingly, but I'm not going to sit here and say, well, we are for sure going to find a way to recoup the remaining 78% of your investment, because I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to entail. I don't know what today's markets are going to do, let alone tomorrow or 6 months from now, right? So that being said, if you do like what we're building, and you're able to migrate the nodes over to BSC, at least they'd still be working for you. I'm not going to say maybe you should put in more, because that might not be your best place to do things, right? But if you do want to be involved, great. And then also, alternatively, if it becomes a little bit too much to keep up with, I've done this personally. I let my nodes either expire out, or however the mechanics worked on other projects, and I don't follow those projects anymore. And it's not because I dislike them, and one of which is Thor, which you guys know I'm actually pretty close to the team over at Thor. I just found myself, so busy in my job that I wasn't able to keep up with their paying fees once a month, and then all my Odins expired, so I just moved on, right? Because it's easier for me mentally to have to, to do that, even though it sucks to no longer recoup any part of that investment. So that being said, there's different strategies. Especially during a bear market, it's a little bit hard to deal with the ins and outs of your own mind sometimes, especially if these finances are relatively important to you. I know if those who have followed the project, I've been saying it since January, never take out loans to get involved in anything financial unless it's like a mortgage, right? A mortgage is pretty much the only thing I'll say is okay. I don't like car loans. I don't like personal loans. I don't like loans for investments in a crypto at all. That's a very terrible idea. In my opinion, almost never works out. And I don't like loans for stock market or anything like that either. So keep your mental health and really only use money that you're able to, in your own words there, gamble with. And if you don't have that money to gamble with any further, then, if you have a company 401k, that's going to be up in 20 years from today. I can almost assure that, right? But I can't insure anything in DeFi right now, because projects come in and come out, unless you want to get into Bitcoin, of which I'd say is going to be up in 2 decades from where it is today. But, all that said, it's a lot of words. Definitely keep your family and your own mental space number one. And then if we can help you out in making decisions, hit me up in the DMs. But I really can't tell you when or when to not invest. I just ethically, I cannot and will not do it.
All right, thank you. The next question from Team OB Wraith, Team Expedition. Do we have an example of conversion return for an Everest? For example, if you have 65 Everest at 1,300 a polar day, if we convert.
So I honestly don't know yet. Again, I do apologize that we just don't have the tokenomics finalized for exactly how they're going to work on that next platform. So that is, I don't know what the new rate is going to be. I know you came up and I think you asked this question live or something similar to it. But That being said, I would not expect the same. I expect it to be cut to some capacity.
All right. The next message is actually, I'm sorry I missed that. A follow-up question from Coca-Cola Bear. Polar Bear. I spoke prior to listening in. Yes, from the military. I've been in crypto since 2018. I'm okay with the risk, so will all nodes transfer or only new nodes created within a set amount of time? If the token becomes worthless, essentially, but nodes transfer, I compound all my tokens I have currently before the migration, especially with all the volume BSC has. I'm sure my current nodes will no longer be good as I have had them for a while, which is fine. Thank you, Ship. Appreciate you and the entire Polar team.
Hey, shout out to you, man. If you're still listening, shout out to you there. So yeah, that's my personal theory. There is once we move over to BSC, your nodes on Avalanche, they're not going to be producing worthwhile tokens because, by the way, the AVAX token won't work. But also, I mean, it'll work in a sense that you can trade it, but it won't be distributed, and there won't be a DApp to interact with on the AVAX side. So the best strategy that Enor has mentioned and that I'll say is probably the correct one is if you do want to move forward with the project, compounding into new nodes and then migrating them over would be the most appropriate strategy as far as how it's all worked out. Now, again, please, that's not me giving advice, but that is certainly the most direct way to get to the next platform and allow us to continue to kind of push this vision into the future.
All right, the next question is from Emilius. Is it possible to keep Polar going on AVAX as inflationary for gambling or play to win gaming, and as Polar keeps inflating, the Polar price also goes up for new nodes or boxes?
Yeah, so the AVAX platform of nodes will not be continued on AVAX once we switch over to BSC. We're going to move primarily over to BSC and then to Matic, so the Polygon network in the future. But the Polar on AVAX, the LP will still be here, but the platform itself will not continue on the Avalanche network.
All right. Question from Martin FLP. Ship, can we look into upgrading the node claim count? Currently, when you try to claim more than 200 and a bit nodes, it gets tricky. I remember last week we were going to try and get that fixed.
Yeah, so we definitely pinged Josh. I talked about it last week. I don't know if it's like if our contracts are able to be upgraded to allow it as cleanly. So hopefully it'll at least be resolved at the update. I haven't heard any feedback from him, but at least we made our developer aware of it. But I don't know how the code and contract works. Sometimes these contracts you can increase the values, and sometimes they're fixed values. So it really just depends how the contracts were built, to be honest. And I personally don't know, but those who would know, we've at least relayed the information to them. I do not have an update on that currently.
Next message from Seabear. So when switching to BSC, will we be implementing this specialty nodes like rubies and diamonds?
Yeah, so there will still be special nodes over on the BSC side. So all like the emeralds, rubies, diamonds, all those will still be able to be applicable in the BSC world.
All right, I think we went through everything.
Yeah, looks like so. Everyone's questions have been answered. No hands are raised. Perfect. We're at an hour and 10 minutes. Let's see. Okay, some people are asking about the DApp. I checked it earlier and it was okay. So while I'm up here live with you guys, let me make sure that the DApp is still online. I know Josh was online a little bit ago, pulling some updates, but let me see here. The DApp is on. The DApp is just fine. So I'm not sure if there are people happening with the current DApp. Oh, what happened to the new DApp? It was there, then gone. Oh, Swaney, my friend, you are a little bit delayed in the world. Let me go find that announcement. I don't know if you're in the AMA, but that was a while back now. That was a minute ago, wasn't it?
I think it was around 22nd of August.
Yeah, let's see
Sure.
here. Yeah, 23rd is when I put out the new announcement, so I'll tag them in that. But yeah, that pretty much answers all the questions, I believe, from the community. Let's see, AMA Questions Weekly. Hey, good guys, shout out to you. Thank you guys for joining in. Honestly, I like doing the AMAs. You guys know that I really enjoy the community manager aspect. I know it's been a bumpy ride sometimes, but we all enjoy it. We like what we do here. So hopefully we can keep growing and expanding in the future, and ideally get back to a very high point in crypto in the near future. But until then, it looks like we have answered all the current questions here. So I just want to say thank you all for joining us on this weekly Polar Community AMA. Thank you, Yulian, for helping me out here again today. Thank you all for participating, asking questions, and getting involved here. AMA next week will be still on Wednesday, but probably just be a little bit before because I have a flight at 30 minutes before this AMA starts because I'll be going to Germany as well. But I'll still get that AMA out next Wednesday, and then we'll go from there. But we'll catch you in the chats, and we will talk with you guys, same time, same place, different time, same place, next week on the Community AMA. Shout out to you guys. Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.